See yourself?
Yeah.
There she is.
What's up, Jim?
How's it going? Are we live? We're live there. We're live here. How's it going, people?
Hey.
Can you see it? And we're live here.
Good,
And then a good camera there. We got Sarah hiding in the corner, Mama Ninja over there. And, so you guys are going to have to bear with us. Give us a thumbs up if you can hear us okay. What do you think? Is the sound okay?
Eric, Lindsay, Tristan, Lori. Hey, guys.
This one's going to be live on another one, so we're going to switch this. You guys have to bear with me on this one.
Yep, we can hear you.
Finish that one.
Thanks, everybody on
Good.
mine.
Yeah.
We've got 3 different accounts here going. Hey, Ricky. Hey, Christy. Bonnie. Hello.
This one is a newer Facebook page, so if you guys want to be on this one, live should have thought about that. Putting back on our little ninja. So if you guys got questions, I guess we're going to look and ask some questions, right?
Yeah. Well, we'll get some juices flowing, and then if anybody has anything for either of us, we both have different expertise on the same path, planet Earth.
Are we on Earth today? Yeah.
I think so.
Does this work? All right, so I think everybody can see.
What's up, Jesse? Hey, Jenny, Greg.
Checking in. On here, they'll show up live, and then they'll disappear. So we're used to seeing that. How's it going, Mr. Rector? Rex over here. All right, guys. So, Rodasi, Sarah, Jim, how's it going? We kind of titled this in.
Yeah, there we go.
What did Sarah call us? Philosophy Friday.
Awesome.
So I'm not sure what we're talking about or something.
Sounds good to me.
So would you like to start or would you like me to start?
Well, I was telling you, Jim, I kind of was gushing about you on my Facebook page that you did I say that right? You're a 10th degree black belt?
10th degree black belt, yeah.
Which I didn't even know
existed.
There was such a thing. And a Shaolin monk.
Disciple monk, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you raised 7 kids altogether, the two of you?
Kids, yeah. 7 kids, 3 grandbabies, probably 1,200 students.
Yeah, and what else? You're a rock and roll guy. You've had quite a cool career. We were just talking about his rock and roll career from the 80s. This guy's
I was 2 in 1980.
He's done the deal. But I just, well, first of all, I met you at a spiritual bookstore many years ago, and I remember you were wandering around, and I was like, my heart was just really full, like, who is this person? And we started chit-chatting. You told me about your wife and a little bit about your path. And I just remember the connection that I recognize when I'm with a kindred spirit. It's like timeless, spaceless, everything kind of disappears, and then it's there forever,
cool.
So I just, but we talked about this last time we were together. We really didn't know very much about what one another actually does when we're working with people.
Nobody really does. That's the whole thing of being a ninja.
Yeah. Okay.
No, you're right.
Ninja Dave.
Yeah, Ninja Dave. You're right. Yeah, I still, and I didn't do a lot of research. I left it completely an open slate, so I got to talk to you tonight to ask you exactly what it is that you do, because I want to discover that as a newbie.
Awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's fun. I heard a story a long time ago about a lady who, when she was growing up, her paradigm on meeting people was that everybody had something amazing to share. Because her mom, she remembers this from a little girl, she said her mom she'd have these dignitaries and these really famous people over, but nobody ever wore their moniker in the house. It wasn't like I'm this person, I'm that person. Everybody was just there to have a good time. And I don't remember what her mother did, but she facilitated these incredible authors, and she would introduce them to her daughter at a young age. And her daughter would know nothing about them until they would sit down and chat later. And what she discovered was these people had amazing stories to tell about what they did, apart from who they were. So now her paradigm is every time she meets anybody, she assumes that they have something incredible to share. So that's what she does.
That's a great assumption.
Yeah, she interviews them and has this fantastic opportunity. So that's kind of what I'm looking
Awesome. Good. So I know part of my journey is of just really, you and I share an interesting childhood. Yours looked a little different than mine, but that the challenges pushed me to want to know why we exist, why people exist, and what the deal is with the universe, the higher power, on a massive journey for spiritual connection and love. And of course, I found a lot of that through nature and through connections with other people and their stories and traveling. But I started my journey through studying, I guess you could say, yoga and meditation, but also metaphysics. And then that turned really quickly into studying yoga and meditation when I was 21 in a community where I took vows and wore all white and lived there for about 3 years. My family was like, she's joined a cult. And my aunt was watching this, so I know you remember this. They thought I had joined a cult, and my grandparents came to visit, and basically they were very Christian, but they were so supportive of me always. And my grandma and grandpa were like, you know what, I've never seen you so happy and content. So whatever you're doing, just keep doing that. And I went on to, leave that place and teach for a while. And then I was quite young, so I wanted to know what it was to kind of like see if I could maintain that level of awareness and peace while living in the real world, if you will. And it took me some time because alcohol is a part of my journey as well that took me into recovery and sobriety. And it took me some time to understand the physiology and the realities of having an alcoholic nervous system and being wired to be addicted. And really at the heart of that, I found that my mind is the big problem there, that like being addicted to thinking and having a specific kind of way of thinking about things, very self-absorbed and very afraid of the world. And so that was very helpful on my spiritual journey to come to terms with, and meditation, of course, and awareness, consciousness exercises that I then met a teacher in 2010 and did another set of training and video training some, and but mostly live, where I was in Spain and going to retreats and different things, and took vows another time with this particular lineage and became a teacher of this organization, which is the Bright Path Ishayas, and that's current, yeah. I've continued my education and continued teaching with that organization. And then also in 2003, as I was living inside the world, I had a women's spirituality mentor come online for me, really taught me a lot about how to be a woman in this world and it deepened my connection to nature. We would, we do still sit around like a fire and share, our stories and our challenges and our triumphs with one another, and share our love of the divine in various ways, and just have been empowered as a woman, learning how to trust in and be in relationship with other women, and to trust in my own femininity, because I had a lot of walls up. And I know that you've worked with women in self-defense, and some of my trauma in the past was due to some violence that I didn't know how to defend myself through. And so I think that was part also just knowing that you helped teach women self-defense was something that attracted me to your work as well, because that was a part of my history that I felt very weak. And so then I had to learn also about the brain and about the brain through alcohol education, and about through meditation education. And it's been really fun to explore neuroscience and quantum physics and where science and spirituality come together. And I guess, so now I'm a teacher of women's spirituality and a teacher of consciousness, and I do mind, body, spirit coaching for mostly women at this point. I've done body work for people and taught yoga and Pilates and things like that. But it's really my greatest joy as a mother, as a woman, as a person on this planet to help people shift their relationship with their mind and their emotions and those triggers that come up, the fight or flight response, and to be able to discover the presence and the peace that's here for us, even if all that stuff's going crazy.
Can you repeat that? You guys hear that? The wonders of social media and I was going over there and what we've got going on here. Can they see you? They can see it. You can rewind this and play that back. Okay, but what I want her to do is I want her to coin what she just said. That last little part there where you said you want to be able to help people reset their triggers.
Yeah.
If you make it clear. One more time.
So whether it's a thought that triggers the fight or flight pattern or freeze, or if it's an emotion that seems to come out of nowhere as a response to the environment or seemingly out of nowhere, to be able to shift attention and change your relationship to thought and emotion so that you can change your relationship to those triggers.
Now, I'm not going to ask you to give away any secrets. So if you want to find out more about that, you can reach out to her. Right?
Yeah, but it's very simple.
It is real
Jim.
simple. Yeah, that's
You know, it just takes work. Like you've been working oh my gosh, I saw your video of you working out, dude. I mean, you are blowing my mind. I can't wait to hear about that. But it is like exercising a muscle, and it is not comfortable. It's weird at first, and it's helpful to have support and guidance.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. You guys got that? There you go. So I hope that answered some of your questions. I know I had, see, I've got Cindy. We've got some people here that are, Mr. Serrano was just here. So we got people that are students. We got people that are friends. We got people that are clients. We got people that I don't know yet. But so that answered a lot of my questions. Sarah, you got any questions coming through?
No, not yet. No.
Okay. Any questions that you have yourself? What's happening? Anything you heard?
Just soaking it all up.
Good. And you said you had a ton of questions.
I do. I want to know, how long have you had a dojo, or at least how long have you been teaching martial arts?
42 years. I've been teaching for 42 years. I actually got to start teaching as part payment for my lessons. We couldn't afford lessons at the time. There were some situations going on in my childhood that dictated. I lost my dad when I was 9. I didn't lose him. He didn't get lost. He got it. But so I was unable to afford them. And my teacher actually, when he figured out, I'd spent every last penny I had a paper route, I paid what I could. He allowed me to teach when I was old enough. My rank was high enough for my lessons. So I've been teaching for about 42 years.
That's a little while.
It's a little while, yeah. Since I was only 2 in 1980. I don't know if you can do the math.
That's amazing.
I was teaching in the womb.
And why do you keep doing that? Why do you keep teaching?
For the women. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We were talking about rock and roll earlier. We'll come back to that.
That's the only reason why that was funny, by the way.
Yeah.
We were talking about him getting involved in the 80s. But he was like a hot rocker dude. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And I told her in the 80s, just to catch you up, I went country, but country didn't get the girls back then. But it's an 80s joke. Yeah, I was 2 in the 80s, by the way. Why do I keep teaching? It is an opportunity to give back. The selfish endeavor of teaching people and watching them grow is one of my favorite quotes that I'm the mirror, not the reflection. So when people come here, what I allow them to do is discover themselves. And through confidence and through the ability to defend themselves, really the fighting part of it is just enough to get people to stand up for themselves so that not physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and intellectually, they can say, no, this is how I feel. This is what I believe at the moment. If I'm wrong, I'll figure that out. You can help me. But right now, this is where I'm at. And the ability to do that and watch people change, it drives me nuts. I can't quit.
Yeah, and I was in here watching lots of youth in here last time I was in here, Jim. And and a whole family that was in here.
Mhm.
And it was a pretty emotional,
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
I
You
get a
know?
little emotional all the time, so I'm a big crybaby.
I know, I love that about you.
It's weird how it goes through phases, but we have, we'll get to a point where it kind of gets stagnant for a while, and we're like, all right, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, somebody will come in and say, thank you so much for what you do. You changed my life. You totally saved me. And we're like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
So it's pretty awesome.
It's not easy to sometimes like keep going. I mean, there are some like logistical things is what I mean.
Financially, the martial arts industry has changed. It was really a big thing in the 1970s when I started. The 1980s with Kung Fu and Bruce Lee and everything was really, and then the Ninja Turtles came out, right? So you go through these phases and climbs, and through phases of interest, martial arts ebbs and flows just like anything else. The fact that people misunderstand what I do as a martial artist makes it tough to be humble and not let people know what you're doing. So the paradigm that they have keeps them from walking through the door at certain times in their life. They put it as an entertainment expense, which means when finances get really tight, it's the first thing that goes and the last thing that happens. To walk through that door is a scary thing. People don't know what to expect. The kicking and the punching. When I started, I didn't know what to expect. I was like, where's the little Japanese guy, And he was black. 5'7", 6'2" with his afro, and he changed my life. Became a dad to me. So to teach martial arts, sometimes it costs us money to teach, but we don't quit. I'll never stop. I'll teach forever. This is what I do.
And you mentioned that what you do is different than what people have in their minds. So two things I want to take out of that. So one thing I can think of that I've seen here already is that there's a maybe really surfacely, there's a physical fitness thing that comes along with it.
Sure.
But more than that, there's a personal transformation thing. And for me, that is sacred. That's that is a spiritual path. So is that part of what you meant when you said people misunderstand what exactly it is that you do here?
Yeah. And it's okay. It's by no fault of their own. You watch a movie and you see martial arts and I want to do that. Well, that's a part of what we do. I mean, the kicking, the punching, the flying. I teach people to be invisible and things like that. That's not all of it. And when they come in here, they don't understand that the transformation is 90% of what's going to take place. The physical punching is easy. To hurt people is easy, and that's not really. I don't even train people to hurt people. That's the first thing I teach people is we're not going to teach you to hurt people.
We turn people down for that.
Yeah. So I've turned people away but that's bless their heart. They're on their own path, and they can find it somewhere else. So it's other people. But I'm not the only instructor who does this. There are other teachers out there who take it to heart and really, really do it. It's just on the surface. Any martial arts school tends to be a kicking and punching of weapons because that's the basics. And if you get basics, I keep telling people now I have a 10th degree curse. I've been teaching so long that I can't just teach the basics. It's like, here, let me give this all to you right now. I was like, take it all. But on the surface, the basics are punching. So people have a paradigm shift when they come in. And you saw them. When they come, they're family. And, we just.
He was actually on America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this. So he and two other students, they flew him out to St. Louis. And he was on TV. You can find him on YouTube. And he told his story, and it's a great story, but they wanted him to go back out of the building and come back in and sneer into the camera and act like he was a big, tough, rough, bully kind of guy. And he's like, you're barking up the wrong tree. That's not who I am. And it didn't go very far.
Told them how I got my nickname, and the producers were like, no, you need to say this. And I'm like, what? I was there. Did you see it yet? Do you know what she's talking about?
I didn't see it.
I have this thing I do. I set a world record. I hit somebody 22 times in 1 second. Yeah, I can hit somebody 22 times in 1 second. So when the Jackie Chan Karate Kid movie came out, I did a demonstration out here at the theaters. in front of the movie. I was out there. At the time, I think I was at 16 strikes in a second. And we put it online, and somebody saw it. So they called me up and they said, hey, will you come and do this for us? Like, on America's Got Talent? I said, sure. You know, they're looking for a 45-minute act, right? For Vegas. Mine's over a second. So whatever, here we go. So they flew us out. We did it for the judges. Their jaws dropped. Oh, you got to do that again. So I did it again. They flew us out and put us on stage. I walked out in front of Howie Mandel, Sharon Osbourne, and Howard Stern. Those were the judges at the time. And I started to do my thing. And before I even got started, light went on. It's like, boo. So the audience was really loud and booing. So I hit my poor student 23 times in 1 second. Got 2 X's. Sharon doesn't like violence. Like, okay, well, it's kind of violent. Howard Stern stood up and showed me his karate thing and said something like, I don't know why they just stand there while you hit them. It's like, well, if I hit you 23 times in a second, how many times are you going to move? You know. And then Howie Mandel was going to polite them to death. I was so polite. And then we left. But that, yeah, it was kind of an interesting, their whole thought behind how I was going to respond to being, they'd already planned that I wasn't going to make it. I was supposed to be one of those gag reels or something. How they thought I was going to respond, what I was supposed to say. You're tell us you're coming back next time and you're going to get Howie or Howard Stern. I'm like, no, this is not what's going to happen. So people have a different idea of what a martial artist really is. Yeah.
Well, not only that, but this is the sensationalization of life that sucks the life out of real life, doesn't it?
Politeness doesn't sell commercials.
And neither does just not being one way. Like, if you're a real complex, multifaceted human being with a good heart, you know, I mean, that's boring.
Yeah, you're not black or white. You're just no gray.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah.
So what's the I want to talk about what you're doing with life coaching, because I know you're doing life coaching and you're a Tony Robbins trained life coach, but I also want to talk about because you're still doing music and you're
can't seem to get away.
I want to talk though about, like, you know, everybody who knows me knows I'm a big a big music person, and I was in a reggae band for a minute, and I haven't been back on stage much since then, but I fantasize about it and have to bring myself back to what's really going on right here.
Okay.
And then, but I follow music, and we were just talking about my 80s thing. I've got a thing for the 80s.
She was 2 in the 80s too.
I was maybe actually 2 in the 80s. Nope, I was a little older than that.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, how that helped as an outlet or helped shape you as a person, and any crossover on your path of as a professional development, as a spiritual path, how music has played a role in that. I love talking to people about how music, you know.
Sure, let's do that. What did you do in the reggae band?
I sang.
You sang. So when you sing, and I'm not real familiar with a lot of reggae, but your connection with the audience, where was it? Was it to the words, the vibration, or just your heart? Magnetic radiance that.
Yeah, that.
I just figured I kind of pointed to that direction, didn't I? So as a singer, I don't claim to be. I don't even think I'm really that great at a singer. What people get from me is sincerity. Get on stage and I just let it go. And I've always I started out as a guitar player. And I was kind of, and I met a guy who was like Eddie Van Halen when he was 13. So I guess I'm not playing guitar anymore. I'll sing for this band. And I started singing. And when I started singing, I found out, this is incredible, this feeling. And when they clap, I was like, oh, I love that. It's like instant gratification. So I became an applause junkie. And of course, it was. But the music, listen, the types of music that I sing, because I can pretty much sing anything. And the band that we had in the 80s was Love and Cars. I don't want to sound like a chauvinist right now, because I'm not. So when I say women, just trust me, I was very interested in ladies. So we sang about girls and cars. I mean, that's what it was. It was nothing
That's all anybody sang about
Right.
back then.
They were copying us, but but our magic. And then I'd write songs about magic and power, how the energy, and people liked it. So, but then you emulate other people's music, and I've been the path. I tried to sing a couple of songs, and I won't mention any band names, but the other band members liked some of the heavier stuff, and you could just feel the anger in not just the music, but the words, and I couldn't sing them. I couldn't. It was not me. It wasn't how I felt. I couldn't imagine anybody else wanting to feel that way. And then you get the crowd, and they resonate that feeling back to you, and that energy. It's like no. So that helped me like find walls and find boundaries with the spirituality part of it. Even though I wasn't looking for that at the time, looking back, hindsight 2020, it's just it exists. People live there, and sometimes as a coach, you get people that have that self-talk. And what I learned from Deepak Chopra's people when I was healing myself was everything is food. Everything is food. The music you listen to, the things that you see, the things that you say, the words that you say to yourself. So imagine singing a reggae song about hating people. No, not going to work, is it? It's like, hey, man, I hate you too, Every accent Spanish or Mexican language. So that's when you ask about the musical journey. Now what I do is I sing journey tribute stuff. We did, all of our original stuff was girls and cars and magic and fun. And then when I came out of that, it was actually a financial consultant and martial arts instructor. Yeah, I worked for Merrill Lynch for a while, and so I let all that go. I had babies. We're having kids. Like, wasn't anything on TV. And when catch that, when I quit that, I tried to walk away from music. I tried little puffs here and there to go back, and when I moved to Michigan, I was done. Said, I'm not going to do any more music. And then I was done teaching too. I retired, and then Fenster got a hold of me.
Sure.
Yeah,
He's a student of yours?
No.
Oh.
It was the whole Twisted Fenster thing.
Oh, you were in a band? Really?
Yeah, the radio station said we're going to put a band.
6 years.
Radio station KLT said they were going to put a band together. Fenster was brand new on the air. He was going to. He booked a show at Union Street before he even had a band, and somebody said you got to call in. So I called in and sang A Whole Lot of Love on the air and became Ninja Dave.
That's how you became Ninja Dave.
Twisted
How
Fenster.
Dave was his stage in the 80s. Dave Ramsey.
Yeah, Dave Ramsey.
Where Dave Ramsey was a thing.
Yeah, I know, right? My agent said you got to change your name so nobody knows that you're not home. So I turned to the girls in the room and said, "What do I look like? You saw blonde hair." I said, "You look like a Dave. Dave is." That's where that Ramsey from. Egypt. Ramses. That's where
Egyptian Ramses.
Ramses, yeah. So that was the musical spiritual.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You mentioned something else that kind of ties in with what you're doing with coaching. You talked about healing yourself. So not only were you a student of Tony Robbins and become a certified life coach with him, but who I adore.
Yeah.
Such a no nonsense dude, and you are too. You have your own way of that, and I appreciate that. I love having people like that in my life. But you talked about healing yourself, and I don't know how much you want to talk about that, but it's pretty significant. And you studied with Deepak's people, and I just wondered if you feel like mentioning what that was.
Sure. I go back and forth with this because I think the more energy you give it, the potential for it to still exist is there. But if it helps somebody, then it helps somebody. So
listen to this, people. Whoever's listening here, please check this out.
There's some people asking questions. How's it going, guys? Okay, so about 4, maybe 5, and you'll have to excuse the timeline. Some of the treatments that I went through took some of the memory away, but it's coming back. So there's a positive way to look at it, right? Some of them I don't want to come back, but they come back. Anyway, about 4 or 5 years ago, I started feeling ill. And at the time, I was teaching the Navy SEALs. I did martial arts for the people on Coronado Island, the self-defense. And I became very anemic. If you know what that means, I was pale and my heart wasn't working right. I couldn't walk upstairs without passing out. I mean, it got to that point, and I didn't know what was happening. So, and I never go to the doctor. It's just duct tape and baling wire. Give me some, and I'll fix it. But I went to the doctor, and they said I was either bleeding internally or I had leukemia. Quite the jump. And I wanted to know which was which. So I found out that I was diagnosed with some blood cancer, some leukemia, and I didn't tell anybody. I kept it to myself. My wife had just went through losing her mom, and some other people in my family had died from cancer. And what I saw was not just the individual dying from cancer suffering, but the people that suffered around them. And I didn't want any part of that. It wasn't going to be me that did that for anybody. So I kept it to myself, locked it up, created a situation where I could actually travel and try to take care of myself. So I did it. And I did some poisons for a while, some experimental stuff, treatments, not on my own, of course, through the doctor. And I felt like I was killing myself. I felt really miserable. The things that I was doing to my body to eliminate the things that were doing things to my body just didn't seem like it was the right thing to do. So I made the decision that I was going to live. If I only lived 5 days at 100 miles an hour, it would be better than 100 days at 5 miles an hour. So I was like, here we go. I'm done. There's no more of this crap. And so I started looking at other ways. And as a martial artist, I know that our mind and our cellularly, we are incredible beings. We can do anything. I mean, I looked back at my past and said, look at all the wonderful, crazy things that I've accomplished just by setting my mind to it. My relationship was number one. I mean, to have a relationship like that and to have it up here one time and then it's right here now, it's got to be something else I can do like that. So I looked at a lot of different things, and what I found that resonated with me was, and it was by accident. I didn't reach out to these people. It was by accident. I saw something that said, cellularly, you're a whole new person in 5 years. There are some parts of your body that regenerate themselves cellularly in 30 days, 3 days sometimes. I was like, well, really? Well, I just wasted 3 of those years doing other stuff. Let's see what I can do. And I did more research, and some people have called it Ayurvedic.
Ayurvedic.
What I learned was everything is food. I mean, you heard me just say this. What you see, what you eat, what you smell, what you say, what other people say to you, who you surround yourself with, it's all food. It becomes you cellularly. So I took that literally. And part of the education process was there are things in your life that create the cancer. There are things that don't resonate with your soul that you've created that have caused this dis-ease in your being. And once you locate those, let them go. So I let go of some of the harsher music I was doing, some of the harsher people that I was trying to help. You know, you can't help everybody, but that were really eating away at what I was as a person. I let that go. I changed a lot of the way I thought about things, the things I said. I was really conscious of how I thought and what I was talking about and what I allowed in. I stopped watching the news, which was weird. And as of January this year, 1983, as of January 2019, no more cancer, no more markers, right? And we did another blood test in March, same thing, no more markers. So with the fitness thing, you saw me lifting, working out. I just decided if it was that way one time, I'm going to go this way this time. So I'm just kind of pulling it on in the other direction. So
And you have a goal for that, right?
Yes. What do you mean?
Well, I think you told me you were going to participate in something.
You're going to hold it to it. Oh, I'm trying to get out of it. When I decided to start lifting weights and go in the other direction, my daughter runs a nutrition company, health and nutrition coaching business online. And she said, Dad, if you're going to play, you play to win. So we set a goal in April to do a bodybuilding over 50. Okay, I'm 55. Over 50 bodybuilding kind of competition, which I've never done in my life. And so we're headed that way for April. So,
Nice,
yeah, we'll see how that goes.
It just warms my heart. I think that first of all, to be so hell-bent, to be so one-pointed focused, to be so devoted to moving to the other side of something, to exploring it 100%, not just sort of, but like full on, to utilizing some of the things that are like ancient things that have been around a long time. Martial arts has been around a long time. Chinese medicine has been around a long time. Ayurveda, yoga, meditation has been around a long time. Those things have been around for thousands and thousands of years. And to be able to, like people, modern people, we're just beginning to get the import of what's going on in here. And the way that we compromise on what doesn't resonate or does resonate with our soul, with our whole being. And there's a lot more science now, modern science,
imagine that,
that's saying, hey, what you think is really, really important.
Yeah.
And then, as you know, it takes incredible attentiveness. It takes an incredible will and attentiveness to be aware of what you're doing in there and to shift that and to keep course correcting. And I find that there are a lot more people who are interested in doing that, to find out whether it's because they're struggling through addiction stuff, or they're struggling through other types of body stuff, or financial stuff, or whatever their reasons.
Career,
But for whatever we have to offer people, I think that's always a base, like to help people shift, become aware. Yeah.
You were mentioning as a lady in your self-defense, and you had certain walls built up and certain beliefs built up. I want to touch back on that real quick, because I tell this to everybody, but more so ladies, because I noticed this growing up. I pay attention. It's one of my greatest assets. I pay attention. And women, more than men, have been told, even at a younger level, that they don't know what they're talking about. To not trust your instinct. You're wrong. Even if it's the truth and it's the truth, men, and I'm sorry to say, men have a tendency to lie to you, to make you believe that you got no right or feeling or correct ideas. And I see it. And I have 4 daughters. I got 4 powerful daughters, too. And so that wasn't going to be their life at all. So when I meet ladies, that's the first thing I tell them in self-defense. You got to learn to trust your gut, trust your instincts. What you think and what you feel, you got way more intuition than a guy does, way more intuition. So that's the first connection you want to make. You want to learn to reconnect that gray area down here, that gray matter down here, that neuroplasticity that exists within not just the third eye, but your second brain. And man, talk about powerful regeneration or reorganization of thoughts. That's the first thing that walks out of here on those self-defense classes, is that whole idea that you're not a victim. I love it.
Got a little tear coming out of my eye. Oh man. It's important for women to hear from a man about this stuff, because we can sit together and talk about that. And then the old archetypal dude walks up and says, hens in the hen house, you're crazy, and it's challenging. It's incredibly challenging, but I have been blessed with many men who have been on some kind of a path of awakening and empowering. You told me you empower people and empowering people. And those men who are pretty good here, pretty open here, pretty embodied, pretty on a good path in life, who've looked at me and said, I'm really sorry. I know your heart has been smashed and you've been lied to a lot, but you are a powerful woman and
a powerful entity, being, energy.
Right. Beyond identification with male, female.
Well, there's definitely a male-female energy, and thank goodness for that. That balance needs to exist somehow, whether you name it male or female or yin or yang.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that a bit too.
And I like to just right in That line between the yin and the yang, that's me.
Nice.
We call that the void.
You're pretty. I mean, the void is like that's my the beloved.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you forget that stuff, and I don't want you guys to forget it. You can be as tough as you want. You can be as passive as you want. When you surround yourself with good people, you forget that there are others that exist outside that ability to move with love. And it's not about condemning them or saying, okay, you're bad, you're rotten, you're terrible. It's about you can only move from two places in your life. You either move from love or you move from confusion. And confusion is the state of mind where people question what it is they're about and what you're about. And usually that becomes the argument or the hatred. And if you respond in kind with confusion about how they're treating you and you argue, nobody's moving from love anymore. So if you could, it's not easy if you've never done it to just kind of settle down and instead of react, learn to respond. Learn to respond to people with love.
It's so valuable to learn how to do that. Yeah. Not just hear somebody say it, not just read about it, but actually find something, a practice you can do every day that helps you.
Yeah. You want to tell them what your morning ritual is?
Sure. Yeah. Well, my morning ritual is to sit up a little bit so that I'm awake and not going to fall back to sleep. And I have a series of, they're sort of like mantras that I go through, but the space between is really important. And watching that these techniques come and go unsolicited by me almost, like I have them memorized, so they come as little of me as possible there. And then I also recognize this state, getting into state, not like a amped up state, but a very restful and alert state. And then I do where I have like sort of the night before I've looked at some things that maybe I didn't work out as well, or I tip back into like an old habit, let's say, or I became aware of something I want to work on, that I've become conscious of. So in that morning, I will remember what it is, not just I'm trying to get away from, but what I'm moving toward, right? Good. Like, I think that it's valuable to see what you're doing that's not working, but don't stop there. Look at, hey, today I'm going to, let's say with my teenager, be more, be quiet more, just listen more instead of being so directed.
Yeah, that's a tough
one. Very, that's one of my greatest challenges. The other thing is being, so I might remind myself of that. And then I open my eyes and I bring a lot of attention into that same state, that this is not me and my life, like with the intention of being guided by the universe.
Theta.
Well, yeah, that state. Yeah. And my intention is to keep returning back to that. If I notice that I'm too in a squirrel cage, trying to manage my day, if I'm not being present, it's easy for me to get completely confused about what's going on and distracted. And so if I notice any sense of that, or any sense of constriction, or any sense of confusion, to just stop. And I've been practicing it long enough. I know how to stop and enter into that state again. So that's, I also do that in the middle of the day. I go back and close my eyes again in the middle of the day. And then I do the same, kind of an assessment at night and give thanks and get back into that.
Good. I thought I'd turn that off.
I love it.
It's been an hour. That's why I think that's my ringtone. I apologize because I know that was really loud. I watched these videos and that comes on. It's like, that's my theme music.
I love it. Chamberlain said that she is learning so much. She's commented a couple times.
Good deal. Good. Yeah. I'm sorry if we haven't been addressing the comments. They're really hard for us to see, but we really appreciate you guys watching and being there. And if we can, I'll come back and we'll address some comments later as we edit the videos and stuff. But thanks for being here. I'm pretty sure we're about to wrap it up. I do want to do more of this. If you guys would like to see that, give us a thumbs up. Let us know what's happening. And we'll plan it again maybe once a month, or we don't want to bombard you with everything. But what she just shared with you, that morning ritual, that theta, that state of theta, is something I want you to research. And you can reach her, you can reach out to me. Theta is the state of your brain and your mind. And remember, these are both two different things here, to where imagination and reality coexist. It's where young kids play. That 1 year to 7-year-old kid who sits and plays, and it's real for them. And that's where your body learns. And if you can get into a state of theta through the alpha or the delta, which the delta is when you're totally awake, awake or sleeping, not the same, right? You find that you learn more that way. And what you were saying, it intrigued me because you said you get confused, or the time you don't get confused, but when you find yourself not totally in the moment, you feel that confusion setting in. What that means, and I'm sure she knows this already, is a process of growth, because your subconscious is no longer running those pre-programs that everybody has. When your subconscious, when you become when you start thinking and you're ignoring what it is you're doing, there's a program running automatically. And it's what we've told our subconscious to run. We've trained it to be that, whether you want it or not. There's some bad stuff in there, and it just runs on autopilot. What she said was, when she's conscious in the moment, and she starts to feel that confusion come in, it's a subconscious trying to replay things that no longer matter. And she's conscious and aware enough to catch it and calm herself and come back to the moment. That's something you guys can learn from her. Real important to learn. So if you haven't already reached out to pick her brain about that, or her mind about that, reach out and do that for her. Because we actually spent a workshop on reprogramming your subconscious this week. It was 5 days on how to reprogram your subconscious and be a whole new you. But trust me, 5 days is not enough to clean that all up.
No, I mean, I had to go away. I hope you don't have to go away, but I had to go away and sit somewhere away from my life for a while.
So my advice to them was one thing at a time.
Nice.
One thing at a time. So what I challenge you with, your greeting. So when people, how are you doing? I'm fine. How are you? That's a subconscious automatic program. So what I like to do, what do I say? Do you remember what I said how are you? Did you pay attention? I may not have said it yet. Somebody says, how are you? I immediately go, I'm incredible. Because it stops their thought and it reminds me that I'm incredible. And if I really want to change their state, I'll say I'm incredible at times. How about you? And then they have to get out of their subconscious automatic play, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? And go, wait a minute, that was kind of neat. Yeah, now they're thinking.
Yeah, shook me out of something there.
So I got you out of your state. Now you're here. You're in the moment with me. And now I can share a smile. We can share the radiance. And when I leave, hopefully this is a better place for you.
Yeah, we've made when that happens, there's a real presence, and that's just my favorite thing. That's so valuable. Thank you so much, Jen. Thank you so much, Sarah.
You guys have a good time? Hit the applause button. Oh wait, there's no applause button. Do the thumbs up or give us whatever you got to do, right? So you want to say goodbye to them? Tell them how to get a hold of you?
Well, yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Rodasi Campbell. I'm also on Instagram as Rodasi Campbell. My website is rodasicampbell.com.
Oh, how convenient.
I know, super easy. And I locally in Traverse City, I'm at Jovia Wellness, where I see coaching clients and stuff. But I would love to talk more about the biology and about practical application.
We could do that. I will share her information with you as well. We never really got to tell you what we do. We do this. This is what we do. We facilitate a path for you to become the best version of yourself yet. I'll repeat that. We facilitate a path for you. We're not taking you anywhere. We're not going to hold your hand and guide you, kick your butt. We're gonna allow you to make the journeys yourself. Am I correct? If I'm guiding you, and facilitate a path for you to become the best person that you can be. That's what a coach does. Define the word coach for yourself. If you play basketball, if you've ever done any sports and you had a coach, that person in the corner telling you to do good and pushing you forward and then cheering you on and being your cheering session and then reminding you when you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And
how do they find you? How do folks find you?
There's a map.
There is.
No, you can look up Jim Adkins or Adkins Results Coaching. That's Adkins, A-D, with a D like the singer, not the diet. Right? Yeah. And if you come across a bunch of me, it's all me. There's singing Jim. There's karate Jim. There's a coaching Jim. There's an author Jim. There's a ninja Jim. Just say hi, and if I say hi back, it's me. Cowboy Jim.
Jim is on YouTube.
Yeah.
He's got, in fact, we're on the YouTube channel
YouTube
as
channel.
well. So you can look up Jim Adkins there. If you're one of my Facebook people, you can find Jim Adkins in my friends list, and you can find him at White Tiger Martial Arts.
White Tiger Martial Arts.
In town
Vice
here.
versa. Yep.
I can't see the name. It says I was having an anxiety attack, and now it's gone. Thank you both.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Wow.
What were you anxious about?
We'll talk
Nice.
later. I'm following you, Michelle.
Yeah, we are.
Hey, Lindsay knows you too, huh? Hey, awesome.
All right, guys, we're gonna sign off. We love you. You got to sign off that you tell people?
No.
Mine is on your mark, get set, grow.
Nice.
So
Peace out.
we're gonna push some buttons. I love pushing buttons.